Well, good morning and welcome to this special Thursday edition of the Morning Commute. This is our second pre-bank holiday show, and if the last one was anything to go by, we've got half an hour of fun coming up to prepare you for the long weekend. I'm joined as ever by Clem, although it's a bit of a special day today, as yesterday was her birthday. So I'm sure you'll all join me in wishing Clem a very happy, if slightly belated birthday. Happy birthday, Clem. Morning, how are you?
Thanks, I'm good. I had a wonderful day yesterday. So yeah, really great. And well, in today's show, we have a bank holiday crafting segment coming up with Gretchen. Tom is back with another money saving tip, and I'll be then joining Alistair later for a gaming focus so that you can entertain your whole family. Over this bank holiday weekend, there'll be some computer games and also board games. But before all that, we have Oliver on the news desk today from New Model Advisor. So what's on the news today, Oliver?
Morning, everyone. Well, loath as I am to burst the bubble of positivity that we seem to have, it falls to me to tell you that the Bank of England's projections of the impact of coronavirus on the UK economy in 2020 do not make for pleasant reading at all. The bank today publishes modelling that shows that the UK economy is set to take a 14% hit to GDP this year. But it's not all bad. There will, it says, be a 15% boost next year as the economy recovers sharply in the wake of the pandemic. In rosier news still, the bank does express its confidence in the UK retail banking sector and its ability to keep lending during the crisis. It's done stress testing and says they should continue to do so. The bank has pledged extra monies to retail banks that lend more to small and medium-sized companies, so there's an incentive there. And that news comes as Treasury Select Committee Chair Mel Stride publicly exhorts Barclays, it's always Barclays, isn't it, to explain the struggle faced by its business customers in accessing emergency loans. Big story just doing the rounds at the moment, reports in that Goldman Sachs is reportedly in talks to buy a big portfolio of company stakes being sold by the asset manager Invesco in a race to shift its illiquid holdings whose value have been hit by the coronavirus pandemic. A report on Sky News reveals that a unit of Goldman Sachs Asset Management is closing in on a deal to acquire the positions, which include a holding in Oxford Nanopore, which some of you may be familiar with. It was held by stricken fund manager Neil Woodford last year before his funds collapsed. Elsewhere on the site, there are a couple of interesting opinion pieces just worth mentioning, including one by a paraplanner who quit his job and jumped ship in the middle of the lockdown. He explains that decision and why he has no regrets in a piece exclusively for us. And for those of you interested in how Britain is going to pay for all of this after the pandemic, look no further than a comment piece from tax expert Rachel Griffin at Quilter, who explains the potential rise of wealth taxes, which she says the government will need to implement to get the deficit down after the pandemic is over. And just finally, my colleague James Fitzgerald has a quite a cool little story about professional indemnity insurance. The Complaints Commissioner has urged the FCA to look at PI insurance as a matter of urgency. That comes in after the struggles that we know that many businesses have had in renewing their PI despite having no to little exposure to the DB transfer market. That's all from me. Any questions or thoughts, do get in touch with us on the news desk at news@citywire.co.uk.
Thank you very much, Ollie. What do we have next, Marcus?
So up next, we've got Tomo and his tight house tip of the day. Morning, Tomo. How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right, thank you. End of the week, smiles on my face, sun is shining.
I'll say I'm enjoying how you're getting your own emoji on Twitter these days.
I love it. Oh, those who haven't seen, it's the peach emoji. It's like Kim Kardashian's emoji, so you know.
Well done.
Yeah, quite. But it is actually because I'm frugal. Okay, this is the real reason it's tight ass Tomo. I do squats, but that is not the reason why I'm tight ass Tomo. But my first one today is be brave. Okay, be brave. Dust off some clippers if you've got them around the house. Let your other half do the COVID cut. You know, my hair grows quicker than our grass does, so I've had my second cut. But you do need to be brave, because first time round it was okay. Second time round, we got a few issues. Well, one in particular. So I'm going to try and get in close to the camera. Yeah, if you can see that side, sideburns okay, fairly tidy. All right, not bad. She's done a good job. Can you see that one? We got ourselves. I almost lost it all. I almost lost my ear as well. So just be brave. Accept it, these issues might happen. But one thing I will be doing is actually paying for a barber at the back end of this. I think that's a step too far to expect my wife to do this every time. You can't see it, but it's a bit mushroomy. Anyway, on to my real tip. This one, some of you should already be using. Those of you who are PFS members here, if you're not, do so. I save an absolute fortune all the time to, being able to get discounts left, right, and centre. They've got a fantastic perks website. If you remember, getting there, CII/perks. But one thing in particular that will make quite a difference, especially if you enjoy shopping at Topman, which I haven't done for like 5 years, but I'm going to cover this up because I don't really want my details on. But any of you familiar with that? Totem, so this is NHS membership, NUS membership, sorry. So believe it or not, because you're all students of finance, you could be members of the National Union of Students. You get a lovely little card. It costs about 13 quid a year. Bargains galore, trust me. Cheaper public transport. As I said, top man discounts, you name it, you can get it. But perhaps we can just make sure this stays within the trade press, because I think if somebody got whiff of this, we may not be so popular. So yeah, there you go. It's all fairly plain, but just remember it's there.
Oh, that's awesome. That's certainly not something I'd heard of before. And going back to the haircut scene, I mean, you're talking to someone who's absolutely desperate for one. When I was a child, my mum used to cut my own, and one day she forgot to put the little attachment on that gives you a number 7, and I had a 0 all the way up, right up to the top of my head here. It was the biggest embarrassment of my childhood.
I'll tell you what, I got sent a link of really bad COVID cuts, and I'll put it in the Slack group later. It is just hilarious. And I've dodged a bullet. My wife's done a very good job of my hair, other than the sideburn. But you know what? That's a small price to pay.
Impressed. You pass on our congratulations to her. So thanks very much for that, Tomo. That's brilliant. So next up, we've got Gretchen's Bank Holiday Crafting Extravaganza. Morning, Gretchen. I know I speak for us all when I say that I've been really looking forward to the next instalment of your crafting development. So tell us, what have you got for us to get creative about this weekend?
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Marcus. Yeah, I last time I was really nervous, and so this time I'm going to try not to be quite as nervous about it. And I've been preparing various things. I'm hoping that everyone will still be happy. I'm going to share my screen, but to show you this a similar sort of slideshow to last time. But also, Dan Graham just keeps piling on the pressure. He now wants me to play like a theme tune as I start. So I'm going to hopefully be able to play that on my Spotify, on my speaker, at the same time as I get my slideshow up. Let's see what happens. Let's see, I can't share my screen now. I might have to turn it down a bit now as well. But anyway, hopefully everyone recognises that. Anyway, so here we are. I wanted to also share a little bit about sort of, I do believe that art and craft is really, really important when you're thinking about kind of getting downtime. And Chris mentioned something earlier this week, though, about how he was just not having a very good day. And I think it's really important to sort of share that, I haven't really enjoyed this lockdown. I've got lots of stuff to do, but it's not good for anyone. And the longer it goes on, the more challenges we're seeing about communication, about staying positive, about all of that kind of thing, and good and bad days. So I think it's really important we all accept that. But I do think that trying to do something else to kind of distract you in a methodical way is really, really important. But not everyone, and my sister is one of these people, she's really adamant she cannot do it. She cannot do it. She's just not interested. But I just wanted to share that, it doesn't have to be anything that involves making, sewing, that kind of thing. This is something I did last year, which was just paint my fence. Well, everyone's painting a fence at the moment. So, maybe think about just different ways you could be a little bit creative. My first one though this week was with egg boxes, which everyone I sort of gave a heads up. To be honest, this is the one I've been really challenged with. I saw it on YouTube, and the idea was that you had you cut out these little egg box things, and you painted them up and you sewed them to, you sort of hung them together, and all the way through I was like, I hate this, and to be honest, I'm still not really sure about how I feel about it, but it brought out some really strong things for me. I decided to use like these old buttons that were in my grand's old button tin, and I couldn't believe that when I opened this button tin it still smelled like my gran. That's like 6-7 years on. So I think even if I hate this and I might end up throwing it away, went through the buttons away, take it to pieces, but it's a process about trying to deal with stuff and thinking about things a little more. Anyway, so this kind of does float around in the wind when I put it in the door, and so I'll show you a little bit about how I created that, and then I've got a kind of what you need summary as well, but everyone can read that afterwards. The other one was this kind of crazy twig weave that I've been meaning to do for ages, and okay, you're not going to have not everyone's necessarily going to have lots of wool that they can use at home, but that's really nice to kind of try with the kids. You've got to go out and find a stick that's got a good space to use there for a V, so I'll show you a little bit about that. Again, some things about what you might need, and if you didn't have even any string, I saw someone who'd like cut up an old t-shirt and used that to weave, so everyone's going to have an old t-shirt, so that might be a good thing. The one thing that Adam Owen is really excited about is I said that I would show you a little bit about using what's called air drying clay. Those that some of you might know that I've got a degree in ceramics. That's what my degree was in. You might not know the connection that Matt Pitcher and I have, which is that his sister was actually in my ceramics class, and she and I studied at the same time. Yeah, basically I've got a few things that I've made with clay, and several things you could do. Little clay pots. So the ones on the right are ones that I did inspired by my trip to Japan last year, and they're little pinch pots. So I'm going to show you how to make a little pinch pot. The panda in the middle, he is here, is the idea that it might be a flower pot. I'm still not sure about him. I don't know how I feel about him. Again, sometimes I'm not too sure about the things that I make, but he's cute. Might end up at my niece's house. And then the other idea on the left is a kind of flat wind chime. You could make whatever you like. Could be hanging on wire like this is, but also could be yeah, just basically anything flat that you could put a hole in. That's easier than making a pot because you just roll those out in with a rolling pin. So I'll show you a couple of those things. The air drying clay comes from Amazon and basically comes in a pack. As soon as you take it out, within a couple of hours it's going to be completely solid, so you've got to be a bit careful about how you use that, and then you can varnish it and make it a bit more practical. You do need short fingernails because clay is a nightmare if you've got long nails, so that's just my little tip there. And finally, inspired by Dan and a conversation we had, I have made some cocktail umbrellas in a next gen theme. So I'll just quickly show you how I did that. And that might be really good, especially for the Bristol crew, because in a couple of weeks on Friday, we're going to have a cocktail night online. And, it would be quite cool if everyone had a little umbrella in their drink. So that's kind of me with the presentation, and I'll just do a little bit of a demo now. But also, I'd love to see some things that people make, and if you want me to help any more, then let me know. Okay, hopefully I'm back now. Right, so this is I'll make it make some noise. This is the hanging. I'm still not too sure about it. But basically, I think maybe American egg boxes are slightly different and cut better. So this in the UK you end up a little bit holy, but I have literally painted a little bit of a pattern on. Ooh, and I went for blue for NHS, not magenta. I'll be probably criticised by my magenta colleagues for that, but I went for an NHS theme. So basically, you get your needle with your thread and your button, and slowly just, you know, make those up. And then I put mine on a hoop. The lady on YouTube that I saw had done it, I just literally put it on like a coat hanger, wire coat hanger, or a stick that you went off and, you know, it had a straight one instead. I just happened to have this hoop that I quite liked. So that's my first one, kind of idea. Second one was this weaving thing. And actually, I really love weaving. It's really methodical. So I started this today. This is a new one. Went and picked this up. I actually broke one stick before this, so this is the second attempt. And yeah, so the idea is that you put your yarn round to make your sort of weaving lines that you're then going to weave in and out of using your other thread. And that's where you could use your t-shirt yarn. T-shirt yarn is used loads of times. Like, you can just buy tons of t-shirt yarn online, which are old t-shirts that are just cut into strips and then used as material. People knit with them, crochet with them, but weaving, they work really well. So this is the one that I did. This middle yarn was a present from the Carolans as we went into lockdown, some rainbow yarn that they sent me to get excited about. So yeah, they don't send me financial planning things, they send me yarn. So that's kind of how things go in my house. Okay, so probably the biggest thing then is this air drying clay. So these are a couple of the flat things that I've made that then you saw hanging. So there's a little rainbow, it's really easy, just a flat bit of clay that's then rolled out. You can draw on that. That will dry probably in like half an hour, and you won't be able to sort of manipulate that anymore because it's quite a small bit of clay. So that will work really, really well. And then this is the actual, I really like this actually. Could hang in the window. It's just really easy. I painted it with acrylics. I think I might have painted some of it with watercolor. You know, you could use, in fact, I think this is felt tip, this rainbow, so it's not, you know, you haven't got to worry about glaze or anything like that, which is fantastic. And then, so the first thing you learn when you're at, am I okay for time?
Yeah, you're doing fine, Gretchen.
Yeah.
Okay,
so the first thing you learn when you're in your ceramics degree for 3 years, probably learned it at college first, to just tilt this down a bit, is to do a pinch pot. So this is a pinch pot. This is one I did when I went into lockdown. I painted it gold inside, but it's got a rainbow on, it's got some flowers on it. You know, hey, it's not to the standard, by the way, that Matt Pitcher's sister now does ceramics professionally, but she's fantastic. Anyway, so the first thing you want to do is roll your clay, and this is only a very small portion of this bag. So anyway, roll it into a circle, and then all you've got to do is push your thumb into the center, and then it's called a pinch pot because all you're going to do is pinch from the center and the outside to slowly make that into a pot. You can see the hole coming there. You're gonna want to try and make it quite thin for something like I've shown you, so as thin as you can get it, and just keep working it. You can use water on it because you'll notice the top is getting quite sort of dry, not very even. You can cut it down and then smooth it out with water. Make sure you sort of tap it, make sure you give it your bowl a base, and yeah, slowly sort of pinch it together so that it starts to make the form of, I hope of a bowl. So that's kind of my, yeah, a very quick version of that. This is actually just a massive pinch pot, so if you like the bear, you make it, you end up with your whole hand in this pinch pot and slowly pull it up. these were added on after, so you would then sort of scratch the surface, stick a little ear on. But I've got a whole pattern for this because I didn't make this up. This came from a design that was in a craft magazine. So I've got the whole thing. If anyone wants it, I can upload. That will use pretty much 3/4 of your 1 kilogram bag of air drying clay. So there we go. That's him. And then the final thing after air drying clay was these cocktail umbrellas. All I did was ask Dan for this logo, cut out the circle, and then hang on, fold. So I think 1, 2, yeah, I mean it's 16 folds to make this little umbrella, and then it's literally a cocktail stick glued in. Typical my mother is that she buys me posh cocktail sticks that don't have 2 points. They're called posh pricks or something like that, aren't they? So basically it's not quite long enough, so I'm gonna have to think about that because it doesn't properly sit in my cocktail glass. For the 22nd, which is the Bristol Roundup online, I'll be making a better more suitable cocktail umbrella. Anyway, yeah, there we go. I think that's me. I think I'm done, but I hope everyone enjoyed it.
Gretchen, thank you so much. That was absolutely awesome. Another great list of things for us all to do this weekend. Can I just ask you about something you said? You said, which I just thought was really interesting. You said, I'm not too sure about that. You know, I'm not too sure whether I like the thing that I've made. And I think for those of us who would probably describe ourselves as not very crafty, I think it's partly because we pile all this pressure on that we have to love the things that we make and that we mess around with. So I think,
yeah.
Like, if there's something that you've made and you think I'm not going to hang on to that, what do you do with it, and how do you allow that experience to kind of end up being positive for you?
I mean, one of the things is pressure, and my sister really, I've tried to teach her to knit, and she's constantly under this kind of pressure of like, I'm going to drop a stitch. The joy of craft is it's not always going to go right, and it's not the end of the world, is it? I haven't got coronavirus. I've just got something that is not working, and I think you've got to accept that some things won't work. Yeah, and I still sometimes, like with that bear, until like right at the very end, I was like, I don't even know if I'm going to show people this. And with the egg cup thing, I was like, but actually I've grown to like it because I've created it for a reason for you guys, and I made it blue for a reason, which might not be the normal color that I would go for. So I think it's quite therapeutic, but also my parents would say a lot of stuff that I don't want is now at their house. But we do have times where we're just like, we don't need to keep this anymore, do we? Can we throw it out? And yeah, it's okay to throw things out, because like craft, you don't have to keep everything that you make forever. It's like, you've enjoyed it for a period, then it's going to move on. So yeah, that would be my thing.
Thank you. It's been great. Thanks very much for joining us today.
Oh, thanks everyone.
So we're going to head over to Clem and Alistair next. You've got some gaming ideas to keep us all entertained over the weekend. Clem.
Yes, so actually I think I need to share my screen as well now, because I'm first going to talk. So first I'm going to talk about a computer game I recently took up, and then Alistair is going to ask me a few questions about it. And then I'm going to first share my screen, and then Alistair's going to talk about some board game he has, because he has much more board games than I do. And probably also children to play them with. Rather, it's just me and my boyfriend, and some of the games. It's just nice if you have 3-4 people. So can everybody see this screen here?
Yep. coming through loud and clear there, Clem. I think it's whilst you're sort of getting yourself set up, I was really inspired to hear that Clem had taken up Minecraft. I love Minecraft. I've loved Minecraft from the days when it was a little one developer game. It's so much, it's a very pure kind of fun. And so to hear that you'd taken it up recently, and you're a self-proclaimed kind of non-computer gamer, I thought was really nice. So I was wondering really what encouraged you to get started.
My boyfriend did. So my boyfriend loves computer games. I think he's a total esports fan. I think if we always say what would happen if we had universal basic income, and I think I would do a PhD and he would retrain to be a game developer. That would be the ideal thing if we could do whatever we wanted now. And so he showed me how it worked because he wanted to play something with me, and it's a perfect mix between, I like to play Sims, so between that, like a simulation game where you can build a house and everything, but also like a game where there's adventure. So you on the left here you can see there's like this purple thing, and that's like a portal to the underworld, and you can fight monsters and get stuff there. And so it's like there's like adventure, but there's also just like building things and making things.
I think you've captured that really well. It's kind of almost there's a combination between the mundane everyday, like, oh, I need to go and tend to my sheep, or
for example,
cows,
my
or
chickens.
you know, oh, I need to get a chicken farm going, and I need to go and mine some iron to make a new shield, and then before you know it, you've been attacked by a group of pillagers and your village is on fire and everything's burning down, and you know, that's the joy.
Yeah, so sometimes you just get on about your life in Minecraft, and then suddenly a monster spawns out of nowhere, and you're like, need to deal with the monster. So yeah, I usually go inside and Milo deals with the monster. So yeah, but there's a few pictures of what we've done. So we have a chicken farm. This is the first house we built, and then like a sheep and cow farm. And Milo spent a lot of time building this library. He just was really obsessed with because with this table in the middle, you can enchant your weapons and everything. And so that had to happen. And then we found a new spot we want to go to. So we built a railway all the way there. And and then just made a nicer place here. I think it's much nicer with a nice little garden, as you can see. So we have like some crops and stuff, and we have like the railway which goes to the other house, and we also have like a little trap at the bottom where we go and mine for all the iron and stuff. So yeah.
And I think it's quite nice because you've got Will's gardening slot. You've got a little bit of Gretchen's crafting slot there as well. You know, there's lots and lots of crafting in Minecraft, so it's in the name. We were going to talk a little bit, I think, about how you might discover a game, because particularly if you're not into PC gaming, you might not know where to start. You think, oh, I haven't got the right computer for it. It's worth mentioning Minecraft really doesn't have big requirements for spec on your PC. Just about any computer can run it. I like games like that, games with a really low requirement. The discovery for PC games, I think, is really worth doing if you want to just see whether you like them. And topical for Marcus, because he's asking about Age of Empires. Microsoft do a thing called the Xbox Game Pass, and they do a month for £1. So it's really a low risk investment. It's called the Xbox Game Pass. You think, I've not got an Xbox, doesn't matter, works on PCs. And you can get access to loads and loads of nice indie, low system requirement type games. So that's worth a way to discover. And then we're going to talk a little bit about board games. You might be totally switched off by computer games, which is totally makes sense. You might want to pick up something a bit more physical, but be thoroughly fed up of Monopoly or Game of Life. So we were talking about one game that lots of people might have seen. It gives a thumbs up if you have. Settlers of Catan. This is probably the gateway drug of modern board gaming. This is the one that gets people hooked. The first taste is free. Well, it's about £40 actually to buy from Amazon. But that is an absolutely cracking resource management game. Very neat. There's no combat. There's no fighting. There's no money. But you get these lovely little painted hexagon things. You build a board. It's great fun, and you can really fall out with your friends. That's one of the key requirements. You've got to be able to fall out with your friends and family over a board game. Settlers of Catan has it all. Moving on from that, similarly gateway druggy, Carcassonne. I'm murdering that pronunciation, Clem, sorry. That introduced me to the concept of meeple, which is a big board gaming thing. Let me find you a meeple. You get these really nice little meeple. There we go, little wooden things. And you build a city. And it's just a great, it's kind of got a bit of a puzzle element to it, but that's quite a nice little strategy game. They're all really, really good looking games as well. And none of them are particularly expensive. And then we were going to finish off with something you just can't avoid it. Pandemic. Now, this is a cooperative game. The other two that we just talked about, Catan and Carcassonne, you're against your compatriots. And this is a game you can fall out over because you lose together rather than one of you wins. Sadly, you never win Pandemic. It's very, very hard to win. Doesn't bode well for the world at the moment. But it's a really good, it's got a kind of a resource management feel to it. There's a combination of luck and skill involved, and it's really, really hard. And then if you look at that and think, that's way too complicated, I actually got this one, which is nice. Similar idea, co-op game. You can still fall out with each other over it. Forbidden Island, much more kid-friendly. So if you've got kids probably age 8 or over, this is a really good introduction to cooperative gaming. It's in a nice tin. It's really well presented. It's got really cool little Indiana Jones style relics that you've got to get before the island sinks. So that's a really nice intro for cooperative gaming if you've got younger household members. Actually, to be fair, it's great for adults as well. So that was my like absolute rush through some board games. I can geek out about anything, as you've probably gathered by now, but geeking out about board games is great fun. So if you have some to geek out about, please do shout out in the Slack about it. But that's it from me. Back to Clem and Marcus.
Oh, thank you so much, Alistair. That's it from us. I hope you will enjoy some board gaming, some computer gaming over the weekend. And next, tomorrow, I think Mark is going to tell us what's going to happen.
So no show tomorrow. I hope you'll all be off playing games and crafting. So looking forward to next week. We've got another packed week for you all, including guests Amir Roshalima, Jess Gear, Tommy Watson, and others. So that's all from us. Have a lovely weekend. Enjoy the sun, and we'll see you next week. Stay safe. Bye. Cheers.
Bye.